Now, Anand, over to you. Tell us more.
Well, thanks for that. Now, this is the current concentration of flights all over the United States. The website has suddenly got huge amount of traffic. This is Flight Radar 24 that we're looking at, and everybody is accessing it. So that's why it's also not uploading. But what you can see is this is the concentration of flights all over the United States. Now, if NOTAM is not working, these flights, how are they going to land safely is a big question mark, and that's the reason why, for security basis, all flights so far have been grounded by the FAA. We are given to understand that there are nearly 400 flights that stand affected. That's the information that we've got. And hundreds of these flights now standing grounded. 400 flights being delayed. The concentration, the air concentration of aircrafts over the United States largely concentrated towards the eastern side, because most of the flights land towards New York and DC. Now you see the concentration increasing, and this is the total number of flights over the United States. Now you see the total number of flights that are focused around New York and DC in this region, and the number of flights that are now stranded or wanting to land. This is a huge number, and there will be a huge traffic that will come from all across the world towards the United States. How are they going to manage this? Thousands of passengers stranded. This remains a big question. Abhishek Jha is with us even as we take this story forward into the nation at 5, and we stay with us right at the top. Abhishek, so many flights, a lot of them stranded, and these are flights which are actually wanting to either land or take off from there.
Of course, and it looks like those which have already taken off, they are still in the air. But those who were about to take off, they have been halted. The operation have been halted. And it looks we have to know whether these flights which are already in air, whether they will get the due permission, whether they will land on their destination, or will they have some diversion taking place. Because as of now, it looks like USA has said that NOTAM application has not been working. They have just issued one hotline through which pilots can connect with their nearest air traffic controllers.
Now, what it shows is, now we need to look at the flights and the planes and the direction. A lot of these which are moving away from the US or facing away from the US are the ones which are taking off. But there is a huge concentration of planes which are directed towards. Now, most of these aircrafts these days, in trying to save fuel, don't have more than an hour's worth of fuel. So the nearest destination for them on the coastline is towards Canada, because otherwise to traverse any other distance is not going to be possible.
Of course. And how many of such flights can actually go back to Canada or the nearest destination? That we'll have to see, because as of now, we know that only USA, their agencies, their NOTAM certification has not been working. The neighboring countries, they are very much working fine, and probably they can actually come for the help of the latest crisis that we are witnessing. I think we have never heard such crisis happening, that all USA flights will have to be grounded, because now the NOTAM, the notification which actually tells pilots or the airmen to which direction they have to go, or any hazardous situation is there, that is not working properly. The glitch has been found, which is yet to be fixed, and as long as it is not fixed, the situation is going to remain very chaotic.
See, flights cannot take off, but the larger concern is how are the flight.
Of course,
this is a huge concentration of flights which are still in air, which are still airborne in this space. How do they land? Because the landing mechanism is there, but the air missions or the NOTAM functionary which talks about the risks is not functioning. But can the air traffic control at these places manually override these systems and direct the pilots and show them a path from where they can land? How is this possible? Because this concentration of aircrafts here is a huge hazard. Because not all these flights are going to carry a payload or a fuel that is going to keep them airborne for more than an hour, hour and a half.
Of course, and that is going to be a very dangerous situation. And also, as of now, what we learned that there have been some hotline that has been established, whether or not pilots will be able to land manually or getting connected through those hotlines with their nearest air traffic control. That we are not very much sure about. But yeah, situation is very much dangerous, and how long or how many hours this situation will continue, that will decide whether these planes that we currently see on our screens flying or somewhere in the midair, will they remain in the midway, or whether they will get an opportunity to land on their destination or some nearby destination, maybe across USA, maybe in the nearby country like Canada, or maybe somewhere in Mexico.
Well, this is what the latest update is that is now coming through. And we are now getting the FAA is working to restore its notice to air mission system. That's the latest statement. We are performing final validation checks and reloading the system now. So looks like the technical glitch has now been sorted. They are reloading the system. Operations across national airspace system are affected. We will provide frequent updates as we progress. So reloading the system is also not going to be a small job. It's not something that will happen in 2 minutes. It's going to take some time.
But as you were mentioning earlier, like how many hours of fuel a flight actually stores in itself. So probably maybe a couple of hours. If the situation gets restored, maybe the dangerousness of the situation can be limited. But if it continues for like maybe a couple of hours, maybe 4-6 hours, we don't know how many flights or how many long route flights are there which are still in air and which can actually cope up with that time of endurance in terms of fuel supply.
Well, this is the Federal Aviation Administration has confirmed that the United States notice to air mission system has failed. NOTAM has informing pilots of the circumstances relating to the state of flying and are needed before a plane can take off. So is this system going to affect taking off more than landing? Is that another aspect? But point is, how many flights can land if flights are not taking off? Can an airport take on flights? Because it's about also freeing bays, freeing the runway and stopping.
Of course, and since it has not happened in the past, and so how the government is going to
Abhishek, let's just quickly have a look here on the newsroom. The statement that is now being read out, that's been brought out by the FAA. This is what we read out. The FAA's official website, Twitter handle has said that the FAA is working to restore its notice to air mission system. We are performing final validation checks and reloading the system now. Operations across the national airspace system are affected. We will provide frequent updates as we make progress. So this is the update. Yeah.
So it looks like the work is in progress, but still the restoration work that aviation regulator in USA should be able to do that has not happened, and the flights that are still mid-air, we don't know with certainty whether they will get an opportunity to land on their destination.
Well, we'll try and connect with Group Captain Vinod. MJ Vinod, to try and understand what is the function of the NOTAM. Does that actually affect the taking off of a flight, or is it critical for the landing of a flight? Because that then again brings in certain other operational nightmares. Now the United States NOTAM system failed at 2028Z. That's what is the ATSCC advisory. NOTAM system equipment outage. That's the event time is 10/20/28 and 11:0700. So this is the time. And they are saying since then no new NOTAMs or amendments have been processed. Technicians are currently working to restore the system, and there is no estimate for restoration of service at this time. There is currently a hotline in effect which has names, FAA facilities, stakeholders in attendance. This hotline information is contained within advisory 004. This advisory will be updated as is necessary. The effective timestamp is 23:01:11. 4:18 a.m. It's the wee hours. There are many who are wanting to catch the red eye, and there are people who have tweeted saying they've been waiting for more than 3 hours while wanting to catch the red eye. Red eye are the overnight flights, and in the American time zone, it's the wee hours, just about 4-5 a.m. right now. Yes.
So, Anand, it looks like NOTAM certification or NOTAM issuance, that actually tells aviation regulators or the pilots or the airmen, will there be any problem on the routes that they are going to travel, and if in case of unavailability of NOTAM certification or NOTAM guidelines, a pilot cannot actually assess whether the route that he's going to travel or whether the route that he's going to take will be safe, not safe. So as a major precaution only, USA has actually asked all the flights to be grounded for the next few hours, unless until this whole system is fixed and those NOTAM certification can be issued.
Well, I think I'm just going to check. Devesh Agarwal is with us. Devesh Agarwal is an aviation expert. Devesh, we are seeing a NOTAM outage. Does this affect takeoffs or landings of these commercial flights? Can you explain to our viewers?
Hi, Anand, basically the NOTAMs are like alerts that are given out across the entire system. Now, let's suppose, for instance, Bombay Airport says I'm shutting down my runway because I'm either overfull or I've got a plane that has gone off the runway, or then there's a scheduled maintenance on the runway. Now, that information, that NOTAM, in old days it used to be called notice to airmen. And now, I guess being politically correct and so many ladies flying, it's become notice to air mission. The thing is that NOTAMs have to circulate through an entire worldwide system very, very rapidly. if something happens at one particular location, it could be in the air, it could be on the ground, it could be anywhere, that information has to percolate completely and immediately. And the thing with the FAA in the United States is that it has a because of the sheer high volume of traffic of airplanes that are in the United States that fly, it has a very, strong interconnected system across the country. And so situations can develop anywhere in the airspace of the United States or immediately outside the airspace of the United States. And if they're not able to communicate that information to pilots, then it becomes an issue of this thing. See, the NOTAMs do not necessarily affect only takeoffs or landing. It affects both. And in the past, I heard you were wondering about the capacity of the airports. And if you recall, 9/11, the United States grounded all flights.
Right.
Of course, it's going to create an enormous stress at the airport because essentially they're going to have to land up parking planes on the taxiways, and to unclog the system now, it is not going to be, okay, I start up my system, I reboot everything and everything goes back to normal. You've got such a massive backlog. And it is going to take, in my opinion.
No, but that's what I'm trying to understand, Devesh, is, I know you're watching the broadcast also. Now, if you look at those that are monitoring flight paths, so flight radar or spectator index, however you would want to look at or whichever aspect. Now, I'm going by flight radar 24, it's a live flight tracker. So all the live flight tracker websites, if you see the concentration of aircrafts here, these are all aircrafts which are either wanting to take off or land. More importantly, they are wanting to land into the US because they are on the US airspace. My question to you is, with NOTAM not functioning, these aircrafts, can they be landed? And if they can be landed, how easy or difficult is it going to be? Because most of these aircrafts don't have more than an hour and a half more than that of payload in terms of fuel.
In terms of fuel, yes. I see in the worst case scenario, they will divert them into Canada if they are north of the United States. If they are south of the United States, they'll divert them into Mexico. And if they are, in a situation, please appreciate that if there is an emergency fuel situation, that plane will be made to land even if it is using completely manual systems. Ultimately, all aircraft, including the latest fly-by-wire aircraft, have got backup manual instruments. So in a worst case, absolute, even the Airbus, which are totally fly-by-wire, they have this product called a ram turbine, which RAT, ram turbine, which kind of drops down from below the belly, and it's kind of a windmill, that the air forcing the turbine, it acts like a mini generator, to power the critical instruments. So it's not that the planes cannot land. I'm saying that the planes are being made to circle till such time. If they can fix the system, great. If they can't, then they'll manually land them. They'll divert them. Again, I go back to this kind of a, systemic shutdown. Previously, last occurred on 9/11. And if you recall, all the planes that are coming in from over Europe, essentially the transatlantic, the Gulf carriers, everybody who comes in over Canada, they'll be diverted into Canada and to all the various airports of Canada. So, one doesn't have to get too worried about safety per se. This is a way of, you can see the FAA is exercising a lot of responsibility. And I mean, for something...
No, but how if they're saying that they're in the process of rebooting the system, how much time does it take for a NOTAM system to reboot? And what does that mean for the aircraft? Now, because we see the density of at least 200 to 300 aircraft all over the eastern US, so largely focused towards New York, DC, and somewhere down south towards Chicago.
Correct. All the metro network. You'll have Philadelphia, you'll have Washington, Dallas, you'll have New York, JFK. You'll have, of course, all these. See, I'm very sorry, I'm not technically qualified to comment on how long will that NOTAM system take to reboot. I'm very sorry about that. But as I said, again, these are the destination airports, so you are seeing that, yes, they're clustered around them. But if you recall the Air India 101 incident when, the instrument of the plane had failed, and if you listen to the ATC, to the cockpit tapes and all, there are alternate airports. Every flight that takes off has to have enough fuel, not just to fly to its destination, but to circle around its destination for a period of time and then divert to an alternate airport. So there are many airports in and around the eastern seaboard of the United States, small, big, medium, and you can be rest assured all these planes will be made to touch down somewhere. There is no way the FAA is going to let any plane crash for want of fuel. That you can be rest assured of.
I've got Abhishek also. Abhishek, do we have, please Devesh, stay on with me. Abhishek, what is the latest update?
The latest update says that the Federal Aviation Administration notice to air mission, which we call NOTAM, that has failed first time in the history. So this is something unprecedented. We have never heard about this, something of this. And it also says that the system was down since yesterday, but now it has actually started affecting flights. Technicians are working to reboot and reestablish the whole system, but there are still problems which are going to stay there.
Sir, 2028 Zulu or UTC, that means since 8:30 US time last evening.
Of course.
And it's about 4:30 AM now. So it's nearly about
almost 12 hours. It's almost 12 hours. The system has been down. Now passengers, they have started complaining because their flights are either delayed. There is no notification whether when actually they are going to take off. Not much of information is available to passengers because not everybody knows about this NOTAM and this whole thing's being grounded. Whole aviation sector of USA is currently grounded. So there are actually a lot of panic and chaos among passengers as well. The FAA, the Federal Aviation Agency, they have published on its website that the ground stop, which means pause on all flight activity, could be possible at Houston, Intercontinental, Minneapolis, St. Paul, San Francisco, and Memphis International. But then we'll have to still see because the situation and the crisis is still not very much clear on the ground.
Right now, FAA, the official update was that FAA has called for a halt of takeoff across all its airports, right? But this one says Minneapolis, it talks about Houston, so Houston is here and it's all towards the eastern side. That most of what we are looking at, there's Houston towards the south. And these are but now we are seeing this concentration of flights. Devesh, 8:30 last evening in the US. It's about 5 AM now in the US, and it's been going on. So it's nearly more than about 8 to 10 hours, if not more, that they have been working with a NOTAM crashing. And it's the first time ever in the history of US aviation this has happened. So this is serious. Okay. And they have not alerted flights. They have not alerted airlines. It's only affecting airlines now. So why wait for such a long time? Why not issue advisories earlier? These are all questions that will remain.
But will such situation prevail, and for how long flights cannot take off, or will all those flights which were actually in the midair, will they get an opportunity to land? We are not sure about it.
Right.
Because it says that the NOTAM certification is actually required for a plane to take off.
Operations across the national airspace system are affected. So that is what is being also said. Devesh Agarwal is with us. Devesh, I'll come to you. I've got Parvez Damania also with us on the phone line. Parvez, namaste. How do you see the situation?
Namaste.
How serious is it? For them, since 8:30 UTC or Zulu time, that NOTAM's been down.
I think it's extremely serious, and I hope this issue gets rectified as fast as possible, because this must have caused a complete collapse of the airports, complete confusion for the passenger, and complete confusion and mess for the airlines, because people won't know how to react, what to do, where to go, because if the entire airspace is closed, this is completely unheard of, except what happened with the 9/11 crisis. At that time, the government closed the airspace in America. I think this is the first time it's happening where what information I have, that the complete airspace is closed over the US. So now what happens to the aircraft that are mid-air? Where will they be asked to land at the nearest destination, or will they be asked to go to the destination where they proceeded for? So I don't know how this thing will sort out, but it's really going to affect everybody.
Please stay with me, Parvez, and also Devesh now. Abhishek has got information. Abhishek, just read this out.
So it is saying that almost 500 flights have been delayed into or out of the US on Wednesday morning, and as per the flight tracking website, FlightAware, it does not say whether it was because of NOTAM, and we also have to understand that this is coming just few weeks after that Christmas chaos where we have seen heavy snow blizzard, grounding almost entire USA's aviation operation. So within few weeks of time, there is another technical error that is actually causing a lot of halt and grounding of US aviation system.
No, the other aspect, Parvez, and Devesh weigh in on this after Parvez Damania speaks. The fact is they have not informed that there is a NOTAM outage. for more than 8 to 10 hours now. It's all snowballing now. 500 flights being delayed and they've not given a plausible explanation. They've not been able to sort it out. They've not even told all the other incoming airlines, redirect, don't come. It's all happening only now. Why wait for 10 hours if your systems are all down? And NOTAM being down is the first time it's happening in the US aviation history.
I think it's impossible for us to guess why they were not informed well in advance and what is exactly happening and what is the issue and what is the problem that has occurred, because this is completely unheard of that something like this can occur where all flights come at a standstill. Like I told you the last time, this completes. See, for weather it's occurred, parts of US that's separate. But an entire overall stoppage of all flights right across the US, I think this is the first time it's happening after 9/11.
Now, I've got B.S. Sivaji, who's the DG Aviation Safety India. He's with us. Mr. Sivaj, namaste. How serious is this problem if NOTAM is down and for nearly 10 hours now in the US?
You see, the NOTAM outages are a very, very serious development, and the aircraft gets so many information related to the safety of the flight operations. So it is very essential that NOTAMs are available. 10 hours is a very long period for the outages for a highly developed country like United States of America. So we really don't know what is the root cause of all this problem. But yes, at present, NOTAM's outage is of a very serious concern, a very serious development. And in fact, it can seriously jeopardize and compromise the safety of the flights, not only within the country, but even flights coming from outside or flying. Hello, can you hear me?
But Mr. Sivaj, should it take such a long time for the system to be corrected, this technical fault, and should the US FAA have alerted all airlines? Because we see huge concentration of traffic over the US airspace right now of passenger aircraft.
Definitely, it is a very serious failure on the part of FAA and regulatory authorities of US. It should have been intimated within a short of couple of minutes. 10 hours is a very long time, and that too for a highly developed country with so good communication systems, disseminating the information. So this is a serious, very serious violation and serious threat to safety. And
Sir,
somebody...
Ji, please complete.
Yeah.
Please complete, sir.
Yeah,
Sir,
what I'm saying that
Ji.
it is a serious compromise on safety, and I'm sure FAA should have, in fact, responded within a short period of couple of minutes. But now 10 hours is absolutely unacceptable, and I really don't know, this is unheard of. This kind of developments are unheard of around the world, and it is happening in the highly developed country like USA. Other countries also need to learn lesson from this, because it's a very, very serious lapse and serious development.
Sivaji, I want to understand, is it difficult, how difficult it is it for aircrafts to land with the NOTAM down? Is this going to seriously impede landing of aircrafts?
No, it has nothing to do with the landing of the aircraft. NOTAM is basically notice to airmen or notice for air missions. You get the information about if there's any hazard to flying, if there's any failure of the equipment, navigation equipment, your routings, approaches, etc. So there is no problem with the NOTAM outage. An aircraft can easily land. Other, instrumental landing system and other area navigation system, all are functioning. So that is not the concern. But yes, if you do not get to know that there is a NOTAM in particular area and some kind of, missile launch operations are taking place. So those areas, the aircraft passing through that area, they don't know that their area is active for missile testing. So that can cause serious problems. So that is the only issue. Outage of NOTAM has nothing to do with landing, takeoff. This can be easily done only.
So if that is the case, sir. But if that is the case, that it is only information, why is it that more than 500 flights have been delayed? Why is it that takeoffs now have been stopped altogether across all airports until NOTAM is back up?
as I told you, if that information not available, if there are any hazard associated with the operations, then obviously you will end up into very unsafe situation. You should be aware of some places navigation aids may not be available. Some places radar may not be available. Some places the other equipment which is required for the area navigation etc. may not be available. So if it's really not available, or there any hazardous areas for which you are flying, or there is any volcanic ash which has erupted in certain locations. So volcanic ash is a very dangerous thing, and if no times you don't get to know about it, then it can lead to serious problems.